Everyone speaks English on here. What is your first language? Swedish. Though I've been living in English-speaking countries and speaking English about 95% of the time, for longer than I ever lived in Sweden. 19 years in Sweden versus 26 years in UK, South Africa, India, I would say my English is actually better than my Swedish now. I basically don't have a work-related vocabulary in Swedish, because I never had a proper job there. I don't know the terminology to describe the job I do in Swedish. When I talk to my family at home, I speak a weird sort of Swanglish, because there are so many words I don't know, or have forgotten. It's a bit sad, really. When I was little, Chinese first and English second. When I started attending public school, English first, Chinese second. Now, English first, Chinese second, and Spanish third. Just learned to say cinco noches con Alfredo, Azerbaijani, Azerbaijan. In addition to that, I got Russian cause my dad was Soviet guy and taught me Russian. We still talk in Russian 80% of time in our conversations. Also, you unlock the Turk pack when learning one Turkish language, Alien Monster. Spanish and Catalan equally. Started taking English more seriously about 5 years ago because I wanted to study abroad. I'm currently studying in Spain, but in the international class, so English ended up coming in handy. Lol. Canadian English. Pretty much American English with some changes to words. Some suffix and prefixes. Our or versus re, etc. And some words are straight up different. Runners, sneakers, toque beanies, check. Complicated answer. My family speaks English, but I wasn't able to speak until I was 4 years old. I had some mental development difficulties, so I first learned American Sign Language. My first language is an old medieval dialect that is still spoken in Brugge, Bruges in Belgium. It's an old Flemish that predates English, German, Dutch and present-day Flemish, Brazilian Portuguese. Other than English, I can understand written Spanish just fine, but I can't write or speak. It's like someone kicked my brain and deactivated this area. I grew up speaking English, with some Irish mixed in. Learned French in my teens. Now in our house we speak a mix of 80 English, 20 German, and the occasional Irish word. According to my mom, I first spoke baby gibberish. Sadly, I've long forgotten most of it, but now I'm pretty fluent in sarcasm and it's quickly becoming my primary language. Polish. But I am so grateful to my mom. She started taking me to English classes when I was like 3, so I can say I know English as well as my first language. I was born with a dragon tongue. My first word foos knocked my father over. My second row, sent my mother out the window. My third dog killed my dad. I speak fluent English, taught myself when I was about 4 years old to be able to understand The Simpsons, but my first language is Icelandic. Turkish when I was a child. As I grew up, I adopted the German language and gradually forgot Turkish, can only speak in broken Turkish. French. But French taught to me by 2 non-native speakers, and in a country where a lot of people speak French badly. So drunk French. Always astounds me that us British are overwhelmingly likely to only speak one language. I'd love to be able to speak 2 fluently. First Portuguese. Second Castilian Spanish. Third English. Fourth French. Fifth foul insults in a combination of the previous 4. Marwari. It's one among hundreds of other languages spoken in India. Marwari is spoken in the state of Rajasthan, India. Actually, I don't know. My mom spoke Luxembourgish to me and my father Dutch. Learned them at the same time, I guess. Spanish technically. From Spain, but lived in US for a few years. I can speak both Spanish and English fluently. German and Italian. I live in the German-speaking part of Switzerland, but at home we speak Italian. Mostly. Spanish from South America, though I have accent from somewhere else. Family is part Italian and Spaniard. One of the Indian languages. Gujarati first language. Hindi second language. English third language. Czech. But I read and listen in English so much, that sometimes I forget my mother language. Lol. A tribal language. Followed by my country's official language. Then English, then bit of Arabic. I was raised in the US by a Dutch dad and German mom, so I can't claim to speak any language. My parents are from British colonial era Sri Lanka, so of course it's English for all of us. I barely speak English. I'm completely in awe of people that speak more than one language. Cantonese, but my English is much better and may as well be my first language. I love how no one seems to have admitted to be Polish yet. We try to hide lol. Technically Welsh. But nowadays, I speak better English than Welsh somehow. Chinese. I'm fluent in both English and Chinese, but am better in English. Theoretically Russian, but my German is a bit better. Immigrated age 5. My first language is Hindi, which I don't speak very much these days. English is my third language, first is Kazakh, second is Russian, Danish. But I understand a little Norwegian and Swedish too. English, but some other English speakers would beg to differ. Arabic, more specifically, 75 Jordanian, 25 Palestinian. Uzbek, Tajik and Russian, they all are my first languages. Russian, nice to meet you, my editors. Telugu, but since moving to America I forgot a lot of it. French. I'm fluent in English and a beginner in Spanish. Baby talk. I was fluent as fuck. Listen, goo goo gaga. Arabic, I speak English better than my first language. German. But I haven't spoken it in a long time. I speak in average English. Main language. Tagalog. French, Italian, Korean and some Japanese. Brown skin, female sign, brown skin, female sign. Igbo onye obulanonguan kajiem niuapuigo. Francais, los ouvre langue qui devrait exister. I learned Spanish first, but I mainly use English.